point of Palletteapp is to greatly reduce the time it takes for architects and designers to select their products and to reduce wasted samples.
Really, it was one sort of stellar week in the summer of 2010. I was traveling with a friend of mine, and I was in Dallas, Texas, and I was meeting with an architect who was working on a project in Seoul, Korea. And we got through talking about what we wanted to talk about, and we started talking about his project. And he expressed his frustration in the time it took for him to get pallet approval from his client. And he did the traditional way in which the designer and architect pulls a pallet. He went to his library, pulled product. Once he got all the product samples in from all the different various companies, he then boxed it up, shipped to Korea. That process of shipping took 10 days. Once the client got it, they held on to it for a week, then they would ship it back. And the whole process that it went through to get to one approval was 30, 45 days. So by the time he went through his 3 options for the client, it took him literally 4 months to get an approval on a final pallet. And he seemed incredibly frustrated by this.
Palletteapp was actually founded in the fall of 2012, but that's not really where our story began. I started working on Palletteapp in 2011. We actually launched the beta site in 2011, but I'm pretty analytical as an architect and designer. And so we launched the beta site with about 20 manufacturers and about 4,000 or 5,000 products in December of 2011. Tested it for 6 months, had a comfort level with it, and got good feedback from our design community. And then we launched the actual site in June of 2012, and the site really took off. We've had tremendous traction, and the site continues to grow. Palletteapp is a digital design tool that we created. We're basically cataloging all the architectural materials in each and every manufacturer's catalog. But that's not the unique part of Palletteapp. What's unique about Palletteapp is once we have that information cataloged, designers can then go in the system and go into the pallet building tool and create pallets, which is just a compilation of architectural materials. And then once they've created those pallets, that's where the real magic begins. They can order samples, they can download specifications, they can create a project binder. None of that sounds like it's a big deal. The reality is that a typical pallet takes about 2 hours to order all the samples. We can do it in about 5 seconds. Typical specs take about an hour, hour and a half for a designer to find those online, and we can do it in about 5 seconds. And a project binder takes 4 or 5 days, and we've narrowed that down to about 5 minutes. So we save the average architect or designer about 30 business days a year, which is huge for our industry. It equates to basically 120 million days per year we save their design community in the U.S. All right, so who are some of the users on Palletteapp? We currently have users from 19 of the top 20 design firms in the U.S. We also have users from over 60 of the top 100 design firms in the U.S. We also have users from companies such as Dell Computers, NASA Johnson Space Center, Toyota, American Honda, Abbott Labs. We have a lot of government agencies. The state of California has users on Palletteapp, state of Oklahoma, state of Kentucky, state of Tennessee. U.S. Department of Defense has users on Palletteapp. The Army, the Navy, Bureau of Labor Statistics has users on Palletteapp. Something called Missile Defense System, which, by the way, cool website, guys. If you like voice with voice, love it. They have users on our site.